Okay, our next topic is going to be one that's near and dear to us here at Stock Trade Genius, and that is a indicator that we use called the Genius Force. And the Genius Force is basically made up, we can't tell you exactly what it is, but it's an in-house indicator that we've built that is made up of a moving average that's displaced. It's also logarithmic, and it's weighted for volume. So when you put all that into our formula, you get this purple line here at the bottom of the chart. And so a lot of you may be wondering why we have a purple line at the bottom of the chart. So let's talk about the bottom of the chart. Let's make it a little bit bigger here so you can see what we got going on. Bottom of the chart is almost as important to us as the top of the chart is. So on the bottom of all of our charts, we usually have some kind of a Genius Force on there. Certainly on the weekly, we think it's really important because it tells you longer term weighted volume trends. But anyway, let's look at it. So this is our Genius Force line here. We also have the average volume line. That's a 50-day moving average. And then these red and green bars are the volume for the stock per the week. Now, if you'll notice, this purple line is our Genius Force line, and it'll go up and down. It's going to oscillate above and below zero. When it's above zero, the stock is a buy. When it's below zero and going lower, the stock is a sell. So let's just take a look and see how accurate this has been on, I just pulled up Google. Let's see how accurate it's been on Google. Now, it doesn't work every time. No indicator works every time. But when you can get a couple of these indicators to agree, when you factor in volume and moving averages and price and volume action, you're starting to get a real picture of the stock. So let's look at Google. Most people think Google is a great stock, and it is. Let's take a look. Google right now, let's go back to this period right here. Now, you'll also see up in my left corner here, it'll have my data box, and my data box will contain all of the information that is on that particular bar. So when I click it, that data box will pop up. Now, you'll notice that the Genius Force is the purple there. It's at minus 681. The next week, the Genius Force pops up to 6302, which is a positive number from a negative number. That's the week that's our trigger week. Notice it's also a high volume week, so that gives you a confirmation. So let's look at the price action of that trigger week. The price on it is roughly, I'd say it closed at 505.70. It closed at its high, so it's a pretty big week. So if you'd bought it at 505.70 and you held it all the way until it went negative right here, you'll see Genius Force is minus 639. The price is 545. So you would have actually seen a high of somewhere right in here about 610 or so. So you would have ridden this from 505 to 610. You'd have made $100 on that in, say, 16 weeks, 4 months. Okay. Now the Genius Force has gone negative, and you'll see it's gone negative, and now there's volume confirmation here on negative, pretty high volume. See these skyscrapers down here. And now you're seeing that Google is not a buy anymore. It's now a sell. Even though it's above its 200-day moving average, it's, according to the Genius Force, is a sell. You've got a couple of conflicting things. If this falls below the 200-day moving average or the 40-week, now you've got a confirmation. All right, let's just go back real quick now that you know how it works. So we can look here. It went from right here, it went from a negative number to a positive number. And that price, the closing price for that week was $368.98. And it never went negative until this period right here. And you'll see the closing number is 423. So another positive value. Okay, so you're getting an idea of how this works. Now let's quickly go and look at some other stocks. Here's Apple. Okay, Apple went positive in here, 440, and it went negative on this big week, 500. Let's see, another significant time. Okay, it went negative on this week, 604, and it didn't go positive until this week right here at 440. So minus 604 down to 440. Right here it went positive. You can see 403 until this big week here, 604. So 403 to 604 is roughly a 50% increase in the stock. Get the idea? Questcor Pharmaceuticals. Questcor Pharmaceuticals went positive right there, 2640. Didn't go negative till right there at 5912. That's almost a double. Went negative at 5912. Didn't go positive till here, 6373. So you wouldn't have lost too much, 4 points. Then it went positive. Now Questcor looks, according to the Genius Force Index, it looks to be a buy, 6373, and it's already up to the latest, which is 87.04. It's a 20-point pop on a 67 stock, roughly a third or a fourth. Okay, it went negative here on a huge volume week. Right there, 30.13, didn't go positive until 26.40. So if you'd sold at 30.13, you would have made some money there. Okay, let's look at some real movers here. 3D. And I want to back up and I want to look at some of the action last year. You see when 3D went negative this year, it's positive there, but right there at 67.31, you could have gone short and you'd still be short because it's still negative at 47. 67 down to 47. All right, if you'd have gone positive on 3D right here, you would have bought it at 39.88 and you wouldn't have covered it, you wouldn't have sold it until 75. That's a double. Same thing here, positive right there, 11.41, and let's see, didn't go negative. 11.41 went negative right there, 29.16, almost a triple. Here's one we've traded in and out of over the past year, but we're now out of it, and good thing we are because you'll see it's negative. When it went negative, right there, it's at 875. It's still negative on the Genius Index, and notice the stock is now trading at 618. That's a 25% increase if you had shorted that stock. If you sold it here and even bought it back now, you'd still be short. Let's look at conversely when it went positive. It went positive right here this week, right there. 208 is the Genius Force. Organovo, it's at 601, and it went negative right there, 875. So 601, 875 would have been almost a third. Same thing here. 215, and it wouldn't have gone negative until right there, which is 4. That's a double. So here are some keys to using the Genius Force. First of all, trade in the direction of the general market. Don't try to fight the tape or fight the trend. Second, make sure you use confirming indicators like volume and other indicators. Number 3, make sure you have your stops in so you don't lose money. And number 4, don't always wait for the Genius Force to change directions before you exit the trade. A lot of times the Genius Force is a lagging indicator, and so you might get out of the trade a little bit too late. You could have locked in a little bit of profit before. So that's why we like to use our moving averages sometimes to get out of those trades. Now, if you are a Genius Society member, you get the Genius Force with our subscription service where we tell you what the Genius Force is and we show you the actual charts of what's going on the stock, the daily, the weekly, the hourly Genius Forces that all seem, if they line up, to help get the probabilities in your favor. If you're not a member of the Stock Trade Genius Society, we encourage you to join, and you'll get these Genius Force indicators as well as some of the other ones, and you'll start making money hopefully right away.